Buckle up because Fox News did a segment on homelessness, and of course, any Fox News segment on homelessness is going to be unbearable. Take a look.
San Francisco's homeless camps are costing taxpayers $16 million, but they house less than 300 people. That means a tent in these so-called safe sleeping villages costs 2.5 times the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city. How does that make sense? Our next guest lives in San Francisco and says the city needs to be held accountable for mismanaging the homeless epidemic. Community advocate Richie Greenberg joins us now. Richie, thanks for being here. When you look at the numbers, someone thought they had a good idea and thought they were helping some people, and then it turns into this. How do you get $16 million for 200 tents?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me this morning. This is no surprise to us. It's indicative of complete and total fiscal financial mismanagement by our city council, that's the Board of Supervisors, and they vote on allocation of money. They bow down to these homeless advocates that are out there, homelessness outreach organizations and activists that fight for the money. And in one way, we can look at this as being the new industry, as a homelessness industry here. As tech is leaving, this is replacing it, this kind of madness.
Well, here's some more of the madness as far as the cost breakdown. As I mentioned, $16 million, $16.1 million, 262 tents, $61,000 per tent per year, $5,000 per tent per month. You're talking about sort of the industry, the homelessness industry and lobby there. How do you get to $5,000 per tent per month? Who's approving that?
Well, we have the Board of Supervisors again, and they're the ones that decide where the money goes, along with the mayor, London Breed.
But it's a tent. It's a tent,
It's a
Richie.
tent.
It's a tent.
I know that. It's a tent, but they're doing what they can to squeeze in the homeless that come here. And what we're finding out, it's really not anything new, but our mayor is finally waking up to the fact that a large percentage of those who are homeless on the streets here aren't even from San Francisco, and they've come here over the years specifically to take advantage of the liberal assistance that is being offered. And so in order to do that, they do something like this, is put tents around the city. I've seen multiple of these sites, that they so-called safe sleeping sites, and they're more like corrals. They put temporary fencing around an area. They put tarp over the fencing so you can't see in. And during the day, many of those who are homeless loiter. They come around outside into the neighborhoods, into the shopping areas, into the residential areas, and just hang around. Many of them get high or on drugs and pass out, and then they go back into their site. They go back into the tent. Yeah.
The logical extent of liberal policies laid before you in San Francisco. Richie, thank you so much for speaking out. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
God, they're such hacks. The logical extent of liberal policies laid out right in front of you. What about universal housing? How about that? That would be my solution. My solution would be to put a roof over everybody's head. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to, give people luxury or whatever. No, just make sure people have a place to sleep. It's that simple. And a tent does not suffice. And also doing it in the middle of, busy residential areas or busy shopping areas or whatever it might be, industrial areas. I wouldn't do that either. So I think there's a number of ways in which this isn't an intelligent approach to the situation. But listen, they're just demagogues. Like, that's what that segment was. Because what are the solutions here? I would say forget tents, universal housing, roof over everybody's head. Maybe you do some little communities that are the what are they called? Like the small houses. I forget, micro houses? I don't know the term, but I've seen shows on them, and I think those things are pretty cool. But anyway, forget the tents, put a roof over everybody's head, and just understand that they might be talking about spending a lot of money here, But a number of studies have proven that if you put a roof over everybody's head, it actually saves money. So the taxpayers will save money if you just give people a safe place to sleep. Because then what happens is less tax money is spent on hospitalizations and jail and prisons and other social services. And the bill adds up, But if you give people a safe place to sleep, a roof over their head, then it works out better when you crunch the numbers. So other than putting a roof over everybody's head, forget these tents, put a roof over everybody's head. Beyond that, the answer is universal mental health treatment as part of the Medicare for All system. That's the thing that nobody talks about, but they should, because, regular health care, if you will, that should be free and universal for everybody and funded by tax dollars. But at the same time, by the same token, you should have universal, access to psychologists or psychiatrists, mental health experts. Because listen, look at the numbers. It's not me. You look at the data, and it's been proven that we have a lot of mental illness in this country. We do. And, that needs to be addressed. We can't just ignore it, which is what we've been doing. Sweep it under the rug and don't give people the professional help that they need. And so, sorry, but you need it. You need universal mental health treatment. So, roof over everybody's head, universal mental health treatment. That would actually save the taxpayers money. But instead, they're just demagoguing about how terrible homeless people are. And they bring up this notion, they inject this notion of like the homeless industrial complex where a lot of people are making a lot of money from this. Isn't it amazing? Fox News, all of a sudden, they care so much about the nickels and the dimes and the millions of dollars being spent. When it comes to homeless people, they never say this when it comes to the military-industrial complex, where it's not millions being spent, it's billions being spent, and wasted, by the way. The F-35, too, which they spent over $1 trillion on. They never discuss this on Fox News and wag their finger and say, Jesus Christ, this is a real waste of money. Or the Wall Street bailouts, the tremendous amount, the billions of dollars wasted on that front. They don't say Dickie McGee's acts about that at all. So the industrial complexes, the military-industrial complex, the Wall Street industrial complex, that's not... They don't talk about that or care about that or fearmonger over that, but they do talk about it when it comes to spending some money, millions, not billions, millions on homeless people, which shows you their priorities. So they're just demagogues, and, they don't really think homeless people are people, and they don't really care about solutions. They just want a fearmonger to be like, aren't, liberal places so bad? When really the approach that I think would work is universal housing and universal mental health treatment. And they never bring those up, even though those are the solutions. There's no doubt about it.